Okay, so in this video, first of all, this is Claire. I'm transgender. Uh, anyway, in this video, I wanted to talk about sex differentiation, a little bit cover of what hormones can and can't do, and then also talk about a couple theories that I've read about of the cause of gender identity disorder. Um, anyway, so as you know, males are XY, and those are the sex chromosomes, and females are XX. So, how does that XY chromosome make us male physically? Well, on the Y chromosome, they have the TDF, they call it, which is the testes determining factor, and they also have a name for like specific genes, I guess, which is SRY gene. And basically what that does is before, like when you're early on in the fetal development, there's a precursor organ to the ovaries and the testes, and those are called the gonads. And so the SRY gene causes the testes to develop into it causes the gonads to develop into testes, and then the testes produce testosterone, and you get other androgens, and that's what causes all the other traits to develop. I think even like the different angles of the pelvis that you see between men and women. So yeah, so that causes the rest of your traits, the penis, the some of the anatomical structures of the bones, like in the face, and yeah, of course the hips, and then and then of course the sex organs, all that junk. And then when you hit puberty, you have like an increase or whatever of testosterone and androgens. Androgen is just the word for male hormones, so it includes testosterone, but it's not the only one. And that causes, like puberty, and you have your hair development. It has partially to do with why men grow more than women. It's also linked to balding. Most types of balding are caused by the presence of the testosterone, because androgens activate a bunch of other genes, because it's really only that SRY gene on the Y chromosome that makes you a guy, and then everything else, they're dormant genes, on the rest of the chromosomes, and they get activated by the presence of testosterone and cause the differentiation. Oh yeah, you also get you have your Adam's apple developed during puberty, and your vocal cords lengthen and widen, which causes for the lower pitched voice and whatnot. But the main difference between the voices of men and women, the pitch isn't actually on average that much different. Like I think on average it's like 2 pitches below for men. But the main difference is men speak lower in their chest, and or lower down the vocal cords, and so it causes a lot more resonance, a lot more vibration. And women tend to speak higher on their vocal cords, and so it's got much less vibration and resonance. So that's the main difference between men and women's voices. Yeah. So hormones, they can, obviously, genes that are still being activated, like balding and whatnot when you're older, those you can stop that, and or reverse the effects of balding. It redistributes fat to your breasts, kind of should round off your face a bit and give you more fat in your hips, which I haven't seen too much of, though I did have one pair of pants break a couple months after I started, or actually I had 2 pairs of pants break a couple months after I started estrogen. And come to think of it, more recently, I've had other parents tear in the ass, and that was never a problem I had when I was younger. So, yeah, maybe I'm getting a bit of one, but not much, I'm fairly slim. I can show you. Yeah, I don't have much of a butt. There it is. Anyway, let's see. So yeah, hormones, fat redistribution. I guess it sort of affects the way you think about stuff, having estrogen in there. So, let's see, yeah, reduction in body hair. It makes your skin softer. There's probably more things I'm missing. Of course, you know, it causes breast development. Oh, it sterilizes you eventually over time. I actually, like, can't really get it up anymore, but that doesn't bother me. I don't really like using that thing anyway. I can't wait to have it removed. So, I mean, that's cool. It also shrinks stuff down there, including the, you know, the testes and all that. And it will eventually sterilize you. So I myself, after 10 months, whatever, like I don't produce like any semen or probably any sperm anymore. So yeah, that doesn't bother me. I never really cared to save sperm anyway. I mean, I don't think my genetics are that great. I've got high blood pressure and, you know, have trouble dealing with stress and depressed, and I'm transgender, and I wouldn't want my kids to have to go through that. So I'll just adopt, get like a little smart Asian baby or something. I don't know. But that's a long ways off. You know, I'm only 21, not currently dating anyone. So yeah, hormone effects. Yeah. So in a recent blood test I had, I actually, my testosterone was at like, I think it was 2 nanograms per milliliter. I think that's the unit they use. And the normal for like a male my age would be between 47 and like 230 or something like nanograms per milliliter. So I'm like way down there, almost nothing. And so I probably have less testosterone than women do, or your average woman, just because, you know, both men and women have at least a little bit of the testosterone and estrogen. Because your kidneys, or the adrenal cortex on top of your kidneys, they produce it. Produce lots of hormones there. Yeah, okay, so some of the theories behind gender identity disorder. I feel like that's the best thing to call it, although it's classified as a disorder, doesn't really mean it can be fixed, I don't think, you know, and it probably shouldn't be classified as a disorder, even though, you know, obviously there's something not normal going on in there. I mean, it's like they used to classify homosexuality as a disorder, but that just invites more discrimination. It's like, oh, you're just mentally ill, blah, blah, blah. And we're not mentally ill. We just, you know, have a female brain or whatever. And some of the evidence I've seen to support that is that they've done a lot of or not a lot, they've done some autopsies on the brains of transgender people. And in this study, it was mostly for male or female, so, I mean, they had like, I think 8 trans women and like 1 trans guy that they had the autopsies, and then a bunch of controls like men and women with hormonal imbalances, and, you know, so like men with high estrogen or low testosterone, and women with high testosterone and low estrogen, whatever, just to make sure that it's not the hormones that were affecting the study. And so what they noticed is there's a lot of parts of the brain that are sexually dimorphic, which means that between males and females they're different in some anatomical way. And so there's this one part, it's abbreviated the BSTC, but it's like the bed nucleus of the basal stria terminalis. I don't know, I forget. It's like, anyway, the BSTC, if you look it up, you'll see. Anyway, it's a sexually dimorphic region of the limbic system in the brain. And what's interesting about it is in men, it's about like 40% larger, 40% more neurons, you know, and denser, and than it is in women. And they've seen that that's also the same for transgender people. So, you know, if you're a trans woman, you would have a smaller BSDC than, you know, a cisgendered man. And if you're a trans man, you'd have a larger BSTC than, you know, a cisgendered woman. And, you know, although the sample size is small, I mean, they were able to get statistically significant results from this analysis. The only problem with that theory being like the cause of gender identity disorder, or, you know, just the cause of your gender identity, is that it doesn't finish differentiating, and you can't really tell, you don't have that big difference between men and women until adulthood. Like, I think around 23 to 25 is when you really start to get that big difference. And when you're younger, that doesn't exist, although most transgender people feel that they were in the wrong body since a very young age. And that was, I mean, that's how it was for me. So, you know, it's not like a foolproof theory, but it is interesting and to see that correlation, and you know, hopefully they'll find evidence as to like why it differentiates like that, and everything. And you know, the transgender people whose brains they looked at, some of them hadn't even taken hormones, like hormone replacement therapy, so that wouldn't affect the results. They know it's not a hormonal thing that causes the differentiation. It is your gender identity. Some of the other studies I was reading was saying that in like especially the third trimester in the womb, again, this is for male or female transgender people, if there's a low concentration, or lower than it should be, concentration of androgens in the womb, then you tend to have a boy that's more feminine, so you have like increased chances of them being gay over like babies born in a normal hormonal environment, born out of a normal hormonal environment. Yeah, so low androgen levels in the womb might have something to do with it. It's not like if you have low, I mean, it's not like if you have low androgen, then you're going to be transgender, or if you have low androgen, you're going to be like an effeminate gay man, or anything like that. What's most likely is for things like homosexuality and transgender, it's like, you know, there's all these factors, and I like that can contribute to your chance to become transgender, be born transgender. And it's like, I think like the more you have, the higher the chance you're going to be transgender, but none of them, there's no switch that just flips and is like, boom, now you're transgender. There's all these factors that just like increase your risk. That's, you know, and so, not everything, like the stuff I've been talking about in the theories and papers I've read, like, you know, I might have misinterpreted some of it and whatnot, so definitely, you know, don't completely take my word for it. You can feel free to read up on stuff yourself, or if there's any cool studies you guys have read about, you know, feel free to forward them to me and I'll take a look at them. It's always interesting to see what people are figuring out. And you know, so it's this multifactorial cause, and it's not purely genetic, it's not purely environmental, it's a mixture. And I mean, that's why we do see familial patterns, like if you have a brother who is a trans woman, funny to say it like that, yeah, if you have an older male sibling that becomes transgender or whatever, then like any, I totally butchered that. Okay, parents that have a boy, and then he ends up being transgender, like if they have another boy, that person will be like much more likely to also be transgender. Like they have like a 1 in 200 chance, which, you know, is not a very high chance. You know, it's a 0.5%. But when compared to the normal population, and I've seen estimates between 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 1,000 people are transgender in the United States. So I don't know what's right. Yeah, it's still significantly, there's a correlation there. Anyway, I hope all this made sense. If you have questions, comments, if I said something wrong, if I sounded like an idiot, I don't know, feel free to put comments. Whatever, it doesn't bother me. I'll try to get back to you in a more timely manner. And if anyone wants to like just talk with me, send, like, if they want to talk about transition or whatever, send me a message. I'll give you my email, and because I check that a lot more than I've been on this YouTube account. I mean, I'm kind of a nerd, and I've got my email open 24/7. Like, since I started making this video, I noticed I have gotten 2 emails. Yeah, anyway, so that's the end of this video.